Britain's on the final straight of Brexit, but negotiations are in deadlock. The EU's explicitly rejected Britain's latest plan.
The suggested framework for economic cooperation will not work.
We will never accept a deal which will damage the European Union.
Theresa May's proposal was hammered out at her country retreat, Chequers, in July. It was the result of months of work. The plan calls for a UK-EU free trade area and a common rule book for industrial and agricultural goods to prevent exports and imports from getting stuck at borders. But the EU and UK can't agree on what will happen here, on the border between Northern Ireland, a part of the UK, and the Republic of Ireland, an EU member. The government's promised there will be no return to a hard border, but it's rejected the EU's so-called backstop plan to keep the region aligned with its trading rules. Theresa May says no Prime Minister would ever agree to it because it would lead effectively to a border between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, possibly here down the middle of the Irish Sea, unifying the island of Ireland in one EU custom area. So far, the government's failed to suggest any viable alternative. Some Brexiteers favour the use of advanced technology to ensure seamless customs clearances. But a similar system in Canada took decades to develop and needed billions of dollars in investment.
There's a big issue over Ireland. They've got to solve that in the next few weeks, but it shouldn't be beyond the wit of man for them to do that if both sides are prepared to move. And in the end, the other option of a no deal is just so catastrophic, particularly for Britain, but also really bad for the EU as well.
Theresa May's Chequers plans also been rejected by hardline Brexiteers within her own party. Former Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson and former Brexit Secretary David Davis both resigned over it. Johnson said the UK would become an EU colony if it makes further concessions to Brussels. The government's also under pressure from political opponents to commit to a new Brexit referendum, a so-called people's vote on a final deal. Theresa May's not keen.
Nobody voted for job losses, nobody voted for costs in public services, for losing their rights. Which is why now there is more clear, or there will be more clear, what exactly is on the table. People should be able to look at it again, see if they got what they were promised, and say yes or no, we're staying or we're leaving.
So what's next? Well, there are two EU summits before the end of the year, one in October and an emergency Brexit summit in November. Both are opportunities to finalise the divorce bill. Early next year, the British Parliament must approve whatever deal Theresa May agrees in Brussels. The agreement then needs to be ratified by a supermajority of EU member states and approved by the European Parliament. At midnight Brussels time on the 29th of March next year, Britain will make history. But at any stage, hopes of a deal could unravel. The road to Brexit is anything but smooth. Neave, Al Jazeera, London.